Round one. Fight.
Heroes never die.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
Power, sex, power. They both come down to one thing.
Hungry Gamers.
Hello, and welcome, boys and girls, to the 105th episode of the Hungry Gamers podcast, a show where a small contingent of Australians talk a whole lot of video games and a whole lot more nonsense. I'm not so humble as Brendan White. Find me everywhere at Brendan8bit. Joined today, one of my usual partners in crime, Ali Hart, who can be found at Miss Ali Hart. And joining us for the first time in a more formal capacity, Jono Pech, who can be found at Jono himself. He's the host of Putting in Work. He is the author of The Spy and the Maven, rated 5 out of 5 stars on Amazon, and available for the low price of under $17 Australian. He's also the co-host of Split Screen, which is part of Generation Play. Welcome, you pair of sexy legends, to the Hungry Gamers 105 episode. How you doing?
I'm well. After that intro, I don't know what to say. Thank you so much for having me.
I feel so small.
I need to take a nap. I'm actually exhausted after that. I sort of had a few little notes, but then I'm like, I'm just going to freestyle it. It seems to be sort of my forte. I don't think I butchered anything, so 1 point to me after a long week.
You got my name right, so that's the most important thing.
Is there
That's
any
true.
unusual pronunciations of your word, of your name, sorry, that you've heard over the years, of your word?
Oh, yeah. Like every time I talk to an American, pretty much. Jono. Like Jonah, I get sometimes, and you know, they don't know the name. It's like they don't recognize it as a name over there. It's like a new thing. It's like if you go to a new country and the indigenous names, you have no idea how to pronounce them. But everyone there, they're like, oh, it's like you go to New Zealand or like America, and the Indian and the Maori names, they're like, obviously that's how you say it, but.
Yeah, I certainly blame Trump for this. He's no doubt to blame for the bastardization of your sacred name. You know, names are power, and the fact that they don't take the time to work that out before opening their uneducated mouths is just a shame. So shame on you, Americans. Get it right. Jono Pech.
That's it.
I was going to say the middle name, but I don't know it, and I didn't want to make it up because the middle name is key. You can share it now if you'd like, though.
It's Andrew. It's Andrew.
Hey.
It's a nice Hebrew middle name. But I have to say, on behalf of the listeners, which I am one dedicated listener of this show, is Salim okay? Because it's been a few weeks. I don't want anyone tuning in disappointed that he's not here again. He's okay, right?
I think as good as he can be. Ali and I...
He's down on some bad spaghetti.
Yeah, he's still moping about because of that spaghetti. Yeah, no, he's
get
doing
in trouble
good.
for bringing that up again.
Yeah, we united the trio on Monday evening for a nice dinner in Sydney. He looked nice. He looked sprightly. He was well dressed. Probably too well dressed for us, actually. So maybe that's the reason. He's mixing and greasing palms of some high rollers these days. He just forgot it about the humble beginnings here at the Hungry Gamers. So, dream.
He's off being Don Draper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
cigarettes.
at least with Salim away, I'm replacing his like voice register on this show because NATO, he's a great addition to the show, but he's a bit more high pitched, and I can kind of bring that Salim baritone hopefully to the Hungry Gamers. Keep the vibrations similar at least.
Just putting
I
you
love
on
that
the
NATO
spot.
brings the high pitch, not me.
It's true.
I know it's true.
It's very true. NATO's like a hairless Pokemon. He's something
A
very
Raichu
unique.
even.
Stripperino or something they might call him over there in WA. Who knows? Scarfazord. Who knows? But
if he was a Pokemon, his name would be stuff like that because Pokemon always say their own name, and he always says and stuff like that.
Either that or Hungry Jacks.
yeah, that is phenomenal. Yeah, I'd love to get us all actually redrawn and cast as Pokemon characters. Maybe that's the next endeavor to jump on. But I digress. We are here for the 105th time. Jono, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. As I led in with, you are doing a whole host of things. Anything you wanted to talk about in greater detail here before we sort of dive down our usual rabbit hole of an agenda? Or do you want to just tell us about what you've been playing? The floor is yours, good sir.
I guess I would just say listen to Putting in Work if you're not already, because I feel like it's been really good lately. I'm on a pretty hot streak with some guests, which is great. I had Andrea Renee from What's Good Games last week, and Anthony Ingruber this week, which was one of my more favourite interviews that I've done. And he's the voice of the Joker in Telltale's Batman, which was an amazing performance. I think it's up there with some of the best Joker performances. And next week, another amazing guest. I won't spoil it yet because I like to keep it a surprise, but I think you'll be very happy. And maybe I'll tell you after we finish recording.
Okay, and we will not leak it to the social media press afterwards. We'll be respectful enough to wait till it is spoken or tweeted from the thumbs of Jono himself. So, I will admit your show has been on a roll. The Andrea Renee episode's one of my favourites, I think, out of the entire host of guests that you've interviewed over the last year or so.
Thanks, man.
She's so lovely.
She's great. Yeah.
She is, and she's just got such a unique take and a very diverse sort of background that got her into the games industry, and a whole host of roles that I think a lot of people aspire to or are trying to get into. And I think there was a lot of substance that can be taken out of that one. Even I listened to the Nick Scarpino one today. For some reason I missed that when it dropped a few weeks back, and that was a really, really insightful episode as well.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's they're two very different people, but the theme's always about hard work, and I think that's going to be present with anyone who's at that level of success. You don't get there by accident, that's for sure. I got to ask, because the more I listen to the show and sort of dial in, especially if I'm not sort of distracted, I'm just sort of giving it 100% attention, the amount of times that your guests use the term putting in work. Have you been grabbing and collecting all those sound bites to do a massive big sort of bumper reel of them? That would be cool, but no, I haven't. That doesn't happen as often as I hope, really, to be honest. I think some of them don't know the name of the show. But I remember Andrea specifically said putting in blood, sweat and tears, and I was like, so close, Andrea. I could have used that. That's all right. Splice it. She said work a fair few other times in there and just merge them together. The joys of editing. That's it. We'll just make a really grim, gruesome side podcast called Putting in Blood, Sweat and Tears. Side project, yeah. Mm-hmm. I think you're out of sides to have projects on. You've got that many things going on. True. I know. You're a very. I've got more ideas. I got too many ideas. Not enough time. No. I'm also writing another book, which it takes up a lot of time. Yeah. I don't know how you look so sprightly, considering probably the lack of sleep that you regularly run off because of all these bloody side projects and real life and the partner and everything else included. I get a good 10 hours on a good day sometimes, and I still look like a warmed up turd. I'm I'm a 7 hour a night guy consistently. That's all I need. I got the 10 hours. I got the joy of the Lord inside my heart, and that just keeps me going. See, I've got. I usually get about 5 to 6 hours, and I wake up and I function well, but I just look like ass. So it's sort of the trade-off. I've got this sort of low voltage power consumption going on that just hums me along through the day, but I just look like a beaten favourite. But we get there. You store some energy inside your beard. It's like a source of power, I think, that keeps you going. A couple of 9-volt ones in there, and it's sort of like there's almost like taste buds in there, so I can sort of move around, and it jolts me like you do it on your tongue. I never tried that. I don't recommend doing. It sucks. Yeah, I was always too scared to try that. It's not good. It's not good. But so you know what is good, people? What have you guys been playing? You ruined my segue. I was going to lead right into that with it. You know what is good, people? This is what happens when you have two hosts. Video games. Sorry, I just naturally try and move things along.
No,
Go on. Go back
This
to
is not the podcast to be on for that.
go back to the segue.
Not at all.
Tell me what is good, Brendan. What's good?
Your tact or lack thereof, I think, with this joint hosting gig today. But no, in all seriousness, life is good. I haven't been playing much, to be completely honest. I moved house over the weekend, which is not a fun endeavor.
No.
It is not a game. If it is, it felt like I was playing Dark Souls on its hardest difficulty, and all I had was a chicken drumstick as a weapon. Like, it was a battle. And
there's a bit of Tetris involved, isn't there?
And include
Some Sims.
the variables of a very clingy, noisy pug and an even clingier, noisy 4-year-old. And it's a recipe for disaster. Like, I've never really thought about hurting children too much, but it certainly crossed my mind a few times during this move.
I hope Rach doesn't listen.
Oh no, she was right there with me. Like, she was peaking.
Fucking recording, and then we upload it onto the internet, and then it becomes evidence.
DHS.
Just got to use a phone book. Leaves no bruises. Just kidding. I love the little guy, but
Shit got dark fast.
But it was a tough slog. Like, it feels great now. Especially, I was in Sydney for a few days this week for work, and coming home and sort of coming into this new fresh house, and plenty of room and all our stuff set up, and it's very homely and relaxing. That was great, but just getting from point A to point B was a whole big, long, painful endeavor. But yeah, try and move as little as possible, I think, is the main message I'm trying to convey here.
That's wise.
But outside of that, I've just been playing a bit of Fortnite. Played a bit of Fortnite Mobile while I was away. Played a bit of WWE Supercard. Quick update. Still no more cents spent since the last time. I am clean of the WWE Supercard running through my veins. It is just all sunshine and rainbows here, and I'm just poning noobs in the ring the natural way now. And
no chance of relapse?
No. Unless like some, I guess, super mega awesome card that you can only get, maybe. But at this stage, my Supercard deck is pretty impressive.
Who's your best guy?
It is now Roman Reigns. It used to be Samoa Joe, but I've combined two really powerful Roman Reigns and leveled them up, and now he's my strongest guy.
Yeah.
Believe that.
This sounds like the NBA. Is it similar to the NBA 2K card game that comes out every year?
Yeah,
okay.
Very similar to that. Yeah.
Okay. I never spent money on that, but I did spend many, many, many hours on it for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and it's it's not the best game in the world, obviously, as far as smartphone games go, but like, it's just a good distraction because you don't have to give it its complete attention. Like, you can sort of just be sitting there tapping away.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, what's going on? And then talking. Like, it's just a good time killer in between things.
Definitely. Great toilet game.
Mm-hmm. So what about yourselves? Jono, what have you been playing?
I've been playing a little bit. I've did a review for Generation Play for Tacoma, the PS4 version, or the port, which was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. I don't know if you guys had a chance to play it on PC, or I don't know if it was on Xbox, but it came out last year in August, and that's the Gone Home guys, Fulbright, Steve Gaynor, and really enjoyed it. It's a great kind of more controlled linear story than Gone Home. It's not as widespread, like you don't have to piece things together quite as much, which depending on what you felt about Gone Home is neither good nor bad, I think, in and of itself. But yeah, really cool environment, and just the way that you can recreate the stories through the fast forward and rewind of it's kind of like a new way of doing audio diaries, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, because they do the AR, like I don't know what the device is called that she uses. I haven't finished Tacoma still. I've only played it for maybe an hour or so, and actually played it on the Xbox, funnily enough. Yeah. I think it dropped simultaneously when they ported it for the PlayStation 4 as well.
Okay.
But yeah, I need to finish it. Gone Home was great, and I was enjoying where I got to with Tacoma, but I'm still so early in the piece. Yeah,
it's only probably 2 or 3 hours if you don't muck around too much, so you're probably a fair way into it. But apart from that, I started playing Reverie today, which is, I don't know if you know about this game. It's an indie from New Zealand, made by 4 guys. It looks like it's like Pokemon style graphics, the original one, but in color, and it's got some of those Earthbound vibes. And it's set in New Zealand. There's a lot of like Kiwi humor, which is very similar to Aussie humor, and it's just really fun and quirky. And there's like the Kiwi history in like terms of the Maori folklore and that kind of thing, which is cool, weaved in there. And the gameplay itself is a lot like the original Legend of Zelda. It's an adventure action kind of game where you get weapons and go through dungeons and that kind of thing. So yeah, I've only played a little bit, but I'm enjoying that a lot.
I've actually seen a bit of chatter of that over on the Twitter sphere over the last few days. There's been some really positive sort of messages and feedback on it so far. I think the Metacritic review scores are coming in and they're all pretty good as well. It's nice to see local devs getting their sort of time in the spotlight, and I think the fact that they have dropped it on sort of a major platform instead of just going, a smartphone or even just slinging it on Steam into the void will certainly help it as well.
That's right. Yeah, it's on. I know Tom Marshall played it on Vita. I'm playing it on PS4 now. I actually got onto it because they're actively looking for streamers and influencers and that kind of thing to promote it, because it's just released in North America. So I just reached out and said, hey, I do this Putting in Work podcast and I'd love to talk to you. And I'll get one of those guys on the show at some stage to talk about making a game with 3 other people, which would be pretty interesting, I think.
Definitely. And I like that they are angling for a physical release as well down the line. Which I think is pretty cool. They want to do like some physical, goodies attached to it, like maps and soundtracks and things, which is pretty cool. I like it. So
if you get onto their Twitter, it's Rainbright, I think it's called BRITE, and they're actively getting into Twitch streams of the game and chatting with the people playing it, like without telling them that they're the devs, which is pretty funny.
That's awesome. That way you're going to get, they're going to get genuine, honest, constructive criticism and feedback. I think if a developer of a game came into a stream I was in and led off with, hey, I made this game, you'd be very, very gun shy for the most part, I think, to give that honest, unfiltered opinion. Yeah. Like, obviously, you always be truthful, but I think you'd probably hold back, especially if it was not so good.
Definitely.
But this game's Rainbite.
Yes, sorry, Bite
on the Twitters.
Bright, yeah. Thanks.
BITE.
No corrections necessary, listeners.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Did you say? Yeah.
Anything else you wanna tell us about what you've been playing, or?
I have played about an hour of Detroit. I think I can say that now. We can say that we have the game. We just can't give any impressions as of the time this is out. And based on, I can't, you're not allowed to say much, but I will say based on the demo that I played at PAX last year and the demo that's out for everyone to play, I'm really excited about this game. I think it's going to come down to the story. The appearance of this game is so impressive, like the facial expressions and everything. They have a really great chance to tell such an immersive and just like emotional story because of that. So it's definitely going to come down to whether they've written a captivating narrative, I think. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I didn't play the most recent demo. I played it at E3. Jesus, when was that now? Nearly 12 months ago. So there's a lot more polish from what I've seen, just from some people that did like a bit of a live stream of the demo, or I've just sort of watched a bit of YouTube footage. And as you said, the graphical fidelity and the sort of attention to detail on the facial animations has certainly improved since sort of that first pass that I saw from, I guess, the tech demo in LA last year. But the hype surrounding this game, like they are promoting this almost more than God of War, to be honest. Like I went and watched Deadpool 2 today, and there was 3 separate trailers for Detroit Become Human in it alone.
3?
3.
That's
obviously from 3 different character perspectives. And they're only, maybe 20-second bites. But yeah, it was. They did one trailer, then there was like a film trailer for Jurassic World or whatever the heck the next new ones, and then it was another, and then another film trailer, and then another piece. And yeah, it's everywhere. It's on the telly. I'm seeing it in like bus stations and on digital signage. It seems to be a whole lot more of a push.
A lot of ads during Twitch.
Yeah. Interesting.
I'm super excited for this game because I'm a massive fan of like Heavy Rain.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, like I have high hopes for this one. I didn't play the one that was after that with Paige. What's her name?
Ellen Page.
In Beyond Two Souls.
Yeah.
Was that what it's called? Yeah.
I played that.
Because like, did you?
Yeah, it's one of those games that tries to do a lot of things that maybe it shouldn't have tried to do. If that makes sense.
Like release a naked skin.
Yeah.
But like Heavy Rain was just amazing to me. Like I felt like it was for its time pretty decent graphics, really immersive story, and I loved the way that you had to kind of keep going and the replayability of the game because of all the multi-timeline storyline kind of thing.
Definitely.
So I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, the player agency in that game was really great, I think, and the sense that if something bad happened, that was it. You couldn't go back, and the game just kept going. Like, it doesn't matter if you died, it doesn't matter if, you chopped your finger off or whatever. It's like, game just keeps going. Either reload or you play the whole game again.
Keep going. Yeah, and a lot of moral decision making as well. Like, it was good. It was really good. People should go back.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of like Telltale games and stuff, but I feel like even they don't always have the consequences that Heavy Rain did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of many other games that sort of have such a pendulum effect on some of those decisions you make. Like a lot of games, they make you feel like the decision you're about to make has a massive ripple effect, or it's going to tilt the story one way or another. But not many of them execute it. Like outside of the stuff that Quantic Dream do, maybe some of the Mass Effect games come close to it to a degree. For me, just from sort of my own experience in games. But outside of that, I don't know.
Yeah, there's like Life is Strange, and I guess there's a few games in that vein, but you're right. Like sometimes it's just the sense that you're making a big decision is like enough to suck you in and feel like it's an experience that's worth remembering. But yeah, the reality as you reflect can be a little disappointing when you realize, oh, that just means that character's mad at me now instead of actual consequences.
Yeah.
There's certainly an art to it. Like where you can have that kind of weight on those decisions and the player be fully aware of said weight. Like, and I love that. More games should have that. I love feeling like I'm torn apart by a potential decision or lack thereof in a game. I think it's almost like the height of storytelling in video games. So I want more people to do it.
Yeah, I want to regret my decisions.
You don't need a video game for that.
Have you ever reloaded a save because you didn't like the decision you made?
I think with that one, I think I did it the first time around where something very specifically happened in Heavy Rain where I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
And then I did go back. But then after like playing it for like the fourth time or third time, I guess, I was just like, nope, gotta go with it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah,
and like I can't believe that some of the things that happens and the game keeps on continuing. It's like, really? Like the game's just okay.
Yeah, you can literally like kill every playable character and then the game just like has like a cutscene that ends it and you're like, oh well, there's one way to finish the game.
Yeah. Now the only game I can think of where I've actively rolled back a previous save like that because I was unhappy would have been in Until Dawn when I was trying to get a perfectly clean run.
That's a really good example of those kinds of, Until Dawn's awesome. I can't wait to see what those guys are doing next.
Hopefully something good, because they're doing all this PSVR stuff, and it is just shit. It is so bad.
Yeah, they released that Asylum thing, right?
Yeah, the first half of The Inpatient was phenomenal, and then the second half was just a dumpster fire. And then they did... What was the shooting game they did as well? Because I don't know why Supermassive have just gone down this PSVR route. Instead of just making
the roller coaster kind of one.
No, Rush of Blood was good too. It was after The Inpatient or around the same time. I don't know, but it was very bad. Just make Until Dawn sequels and prequels forever.
I'd be fine with them just doing Until Dawn 2, completely different story, but the same concept, and come up with something new.
It would be perfect.
Until Dawn was so good.
Such a sleeper hit.
Yeah, I just love that theme of like we just have to stay alive until dawn. Let's just not die.
But I also loved that when they threw in that concept of being able to see possible
scenarios,
futures. Yeah. And I'm a big fan of like hidden movie kind of horror where like, you find pieces of movies and stuff like that. And then they had that sequence where it was that story unfolding about those creatures.
The Wendigo.
Winnebos.
Yeah.
Winnebagos.
Winnebagos. The big recreational vehicles.
Yeah, more games like that.
Yeah, let's see it.
Until Dawn is such an underrated game. It's one of the best games on PlayStation, or at least on the PlayStation 4 still for me. I love it so much.
Yeah, it's one of the only PlayStation exclusives I can think of that's not similar to everything else. Like the third person action adventure, which is my favorite type of game probably, so I'm not complaining. But yeah.
Yeah, they've definitely got a pretty set formula, and Until Dawn definitely bucks that trend.
It's working.
Moving on to you, Ali, and bucking trends. I see there's no Minecraft listed here this week. You've been playing something new.
Yeah, well, newish. I was playing this game. It's called Emily's Away 2.
Oh my gosh.
They released Emily's Away some years back, I think it was. And I think it was even a free game. It was like, donate if you feel so kind. But I
think it was three or 4 years ago.
Yeah, and the whole concept is that it's just an AIM. So, is it meant to be AOL? I think
AOL,
it's meant to be AOL. Yeah.
Or MSN Messenger for the Aussies here. We didn't really get into AOL, did we, for instant messaging?
I did.
Really?
I was in AOL chat. Yeah, so that was very familiar.
You just want to be American, don't you?
Always. Where's my gun? So I never got to play the first one. Bren's gone. I never got to play the first one. I actually watched the Kind of Funny Boys play it. Best person to play it too, which was Tim Geddes. And I loved how like true to the time it was, like, and exactly like all the little elements that it brought up. So I thought, okay, Emily is Away too. I'll buy it and I'll play it, and I won't watch anything beforehand. And gosh, it just encapsulates high school perfectly for me, and it hit too close to home sometimes, really, really too close to home. Like some of the like conversations, like obviously not talking about going to college because hey, this girl is uneducated. But just like the kind of conversations and like things that were like issues, and like how you'd have your profile and there'd be song lyrics in it, and then maybe like a little quote that's like a message to someone out there, and
real like subliminal kind of like, it's like, I hope they notice this.
Yeah, like, this is like, you've got this like little song lyric in there, and it's like, I hope that person knows that's about them, and it's just, yeah, it's cute. So you're pretty much in like just a chat interface, and you're talking to, well, two specific people this time. So you have got Emily again, but you've also got a girl called Evelyn. Now, I don't know if I played the game wrong, but I only spoke to those two. There's other people that are in the sidebar that looks like options, but I only ever spoke to Emily and Evelyn. And like I think I'd make a great boyfriend. It took me a while to realize that I was a guy. I'm assuming, I'm pretty certain I was a guy. So, but yeah, I may have lied to one of them saying what my favorite music style was, because it's technically not a lie. I do like pop punk and I do like alternative. But there's also a moment where it's like you're chatting to both girls at the same time.
Ooh.
And then it's got a timer on you on like how quickly you respond. And then, yeah, I was doing so well. And then, yeah, the timer kind of went out on Evelyn. And she goes, "Are you even there? Oh, why did I think you could trust you?" And I'm like, bitch!
Damn.
I was doing so well between tabs.
That's a longer game than Emily is Away, isn't it? The sequel.
Yeah, it felt like it was longer. And based on the ending, me and Emily are still dating, even though we're heading to different colleges and stuff, but we're still dating. Yeah. I got the 50% 50% went with Emily, and then I got the other 50% of that particular ending. So I'm probably going to play it again and try and get Evelyn.
That's really cool.
Yeah, you go, say.
I was just going to say, I played the first one, and I don't play like any PC games, but this one, like you said, the kind of funny Let's Play got me interested. And I had one of my best friends, Marto, over. He came to the Twitch party, so you've probably seen a photo of him on Twitter at some stage. But we sat down at the computer and we played together, and it was like, oh, what should I say? And it was just like so many memories coming back from those.
Yeah.
And like the way that the sound design in that game is amazing. Like it has all the startup sounds of your computer right down to just like whatever mechanical parts are like spinning around and heating up, like the fans and everything. Yeah, and it just takes you right back with the nostalgia, especially for people of our age, I would say.
Well, the other thing this this version does is that they actually send you links.
The YouTube videos and
you
stuff?
click on... Yeah, and then like... It'll take you to the Numa video and the shoes video, and like you can even go to Newgrounds, and I'm just like, holy crap, this is my high school years in a game. Like, this is crazy.
It's like 2006, 2005, is it, or something?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, 2006. I think I remember it saying on like the little diary calendar entries. But like. I know it sounds really cheesy, but like there were moments in it where I kind of felt like, oh, this is way too real. Like, this is really like, taking me back. Like her like sending you like, oh, I'm listening to this song, like here, and here's a link and everything, and it's like, you know, like Arctic Monkeys or the Killers or whatever, and then the other one's sending you Census Fails, and it was just like, yeah, it was good. I think, like, people, especially our age, it's a cheap game, I think. I think it's about, like, $5 or roughly around there. Just drop some money down, play it, and just get sent back for a while, because it's simple, it's quick, and it's fun, but...
I gotta wait for my friend to come back.
It's an experience.
we gotta experience it together again.
I'm curious to see how much of the game is based off the creator's like life and his past, like David Skeely, something like that. He wrote it and made the game, and I wonder if a lot of it's pulling from his upbringing and his time spent in high school and those awkward internet chats and the love and the lust.
I think there's some universal experiences with that, just from like what Ali was saying. It's like, yep, been there, like, even probably down to like signing out and then signing in again, so that people you'll get the little notification, and maybe they didn't see me sign on before. They'll say hello.
Or setting your status to away, but still chatting to someone to let them know, I'm away, but I'm just chatting with you. Like,
I'm busy, baby, but I'm not too busy for you.
Actually, I still do that now with my Xbox on incognito.
You do.
Cat's out of the bag.
You'll never know.
We're gonna do a spin-off called Ali is Away from now on, and we'll see how it goes.
Ali's asleep.
So that's what we've been playing. I just wanted to quickly bring to light Deadpool 2. Go watch it immediately. Holy Jesus. It is so good. It's one of my favorite Marvel movies of all time. That's how good it is.
Wow.
Like, it just... Everything the first one did great. I think the second one did even better. The breaking down of the fourth wall was done on point. The cast was fantastic. Josh Brolin as Cable. He can do no wrong these days, Josh Brolin. Like, he is just the goddamn man. And yeah, just the jokes, the action, the set pieces, the story. Because truth be told, the original story didn't have a huge amount of weight behind it. But this one, it feels like there's more to it, and it's actually got some pretty good messages sort of that they're weaving through there that they sort of subtly push along through the entirety of the film. It is so good. I think it's going to break more records than the first one did, just based off the hype from the first one. And my goodness, go watch it immediately. I can't say enough good things about it without spoiling things. So yeah, go check it out.
I have some questions, but I'm going to limit myself to one question. How did seeing Infinity War just a couple of weeks ago, like, with that in mind, did it change the way you watch this? Was it like a welcome, levity after Infinity War, or was it like a bit of a juxtaposition?
Yeah, it was definitely a big juxtaposition between the two. Just not only on tone, but obviously severity, but even just little things like, it's not a spoiler, but like Deadpool has a shot at Cable and calls him Thanos in a scene, and it's just like little things like that. Like, it is just so self-aware. It is not funny. Like, it is so good, and just like you're laughing. Like, I nearly cried near the end of the movie, truth be told, just with some of the stuff that was going on. That wasn't like laughter tears. That was like genuine, like, my heart's feeling things right now. So to be able to go from that kind of tone to making jokes about dicks to, slicing guys left, right, and center, and then back again, like, it's a testament to everybody involved, and you can see the care that Ryan Reynolds has with his franchise. It is so well done, and I'm hoping to see a lot more of Deadpool and X-Force and Domino and Cable and everyone like that. Like, God, it's good. God.
I want more Deadpool in other things. I want Deadpool just to be in things for like 5 seconds. I want him to start Stan Leeing it.
That would be great.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want him to start
just like one joke in every movie.
Just being in there for 5 seconds. Yeah, exactly.
There's one cameo in this that took me by such surprise, and I was just cracking myself laughing when it happened, but it's so perfectly done. But once you watch it, we'll definitely unpack this more offline, because God, it's good. It is so good.
That's good.
Infinity War is phenomenal as well, but this is just, it's up there.
I'm glad to hear. The critics don't seem as hot on it as the first one, but who cares?
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I genuinely wonder, like, obviously the critics, they don't have any nostalgia attachment to it from reading comics or
some of them do,
watching cartoons or videos and things like that. But I don't know, I just loved it. I was so good. It was exactly what I needed. But yeah, go watch it so we can talk about it, please.
Will do.
Which one do I see first?
Well, Deadpool's just under 2 hours, and Infinity War is nearly 3. So it depends.
You haven't
on
seen
how much
Infinity
time
War
it's
yet?
like.
Come on.
Nah.
Hasn't it been spoiled for you by now?
Oh, it's been spoiled. Oh boy, hasn't. You all think you're clever with your subtlety, but I'm not a dickhead.
I'm not being like. There's no subtlety with the memes. I can tell you that much.
No, not at all.
I don't think anyone. I think everyone just decided at some point everyone's seen this by now, so let's spoil the crap out of it.
They were wrong. I have just no major investment into it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because you're a DC girl. Yeah. Anyway, shall we?
Life is hard for me.
Shall we move on to the meat in the episode here on 105?
Let's do it.
This week's news headlines.
News headline bites or entrees. I don't know, but I'll cut that in somehow. I gotta get Chuck Fresh to do something up. Okay, so with our news headline entrees, I guess, or snack bites as we're calling them for now. We've got a whole slew of things that have happened this week. We won't deep dive into them all. Feel free to interject, throw opinions when I go through these. Say nothing if you've got nothing to add, or just give me some hot takes. You know how we roll around here. So the first one, Rare Sea of Thieves, private crew option is now available courtesy of patch 1.0.7. So that means now when you are rolling out as a squad of a crew of 2 or 3 or 4, unless you've got it set to open, you will not get any randos coming in and pillaging your booty and touching your plunder and any other kind of sexual pirate puns I can think of.
Holding your banana.
That's a good one. Walking the plank.
Scrounging around in your barrel.
Stroking the cannon.
You've definitely played a lot of Sea of
Why are you
Thieves
stroking a
if
cannon?
you've got these thought up already.
I just...
This is how we work.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just... I've got ancestral DNA to sexy pirates or something. I don't know. Next one. EA have announced today Battlefield 5 will be having a live stream reveal on Twitch, scheduled for May 23rd in the US. That will be sometime on the 24th here in Australia. No details outside of that. The logo or the branding they're parading around is just a V, which is sort of jumping all across Twitter at the moment for some stupid reason. We don't know, is it going to be current day warfare, past wars again, or future warfare? Who knows? They would be smart to do more stuff like Battlefield 1 because it was a very, very, very good game.
Yeah, they need to get their branding straight. I think they've bungled it.
Yeah.
From Battlefield 1 to Battlefield 5, if that's what the V is implying, it's kind of like, slow up. What's going on here?
Yeah. Go home, EA, you're drunk.
As long as there's no battle royale.
Yeah, I'm curious. E3 is definitely going to be the E3 Battle Royale edition. I'm pretty sure this year there'll be a fair few unveils of BR-based modes in games, and it's just going to be head shakes everywhere. It's just going to be oversaturated as we do with everything. So,
put it on your shot glass.
You guys are the Battle Royale experts compared to me because I don't play many multiplayer games. Is there somewhere for this to go? Is there another level for Battle Royale that we haven't seen? Because it's still a somewhat fairly new thing, maybe 2 years of this kind of game being popular.
I don't know. I could say no. I pretty much think PUBG and Fortnite's done what needs to be done, kind of thing. There has been a lot that have even attempted it that have kind of died in the mists. But I mean, I won't be opposed to the next new, style of battle royale. Just make it good, make it fun, and get rid of the goddamn hackers.
Yeah, I think there's still probably some room to grow or to be new in that space. I like the idea of doing more sort of hero class-based stuff. I think that could add a pretty cool dynamic where maybe you've got a limited amount of classes to pick as you load out, and you've got different abilities. I think that could add a nice little spin on it. Seen a few games in development or coming out or now in early access as well, where there's a lot more environmental interactions, whether it be destructive environments, whether it be native animals coming to kill you and things like that, where it's sort of, you can't just be looking for the other 99 people. You've got another, 100 beasts coming at you as well. But I don't know. I'm just curious to see if this is still going to be relevant in a few years' time.
Did you see the person who pitched the reverse battle royale, which is everyone has to work together to survive to get out?
I love that idea. I'd play that because, human nature, typically they go, you know what, fuck you, I can't trust you. We all win.
Yeah, I saw one today that was like Lemmings, but Battle Royale, and you have to save everyone else.
Yeah, and
I saw Animal Crossing Battle Royale.
Oof.
Totally do that.
What was that bloody raccoon, bloody mayor? Was he a mayor? The guy that was always coming to take your money?
Tom Nook.
Yeah, Tom Nook.
Is a respectable businessman in Animal Crossing. Respect that. Actually, you would be Tom Nook. So,
hate what you are or something. I don't know. Anyway,
I'll buy you a sweater.
Stardew Valley is on its way to the PS Vita.
Vita lives
in a week's time.
It's exciting.
May 24th.
Me and Jono got excited for two different reasons.
I got excited because, when Stardew Valley came out and everyone was talking about it, I was very interested. But it wasn't on PlayStation. And it wasn't on PlayStation Vita. And that's where I live, So it's been a long time coming. I've been waiting for the Vita port, and here it is. I'm finally going to get to play Stardew Valley. Just as they, PlayStation announces that they're stopping physical sales of Vita games. So, it is another nail in the coffin, but we're getting Stardew Valley. So I've got the one game that apparently is all I need for the rest of eternity.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
I've got it twice, and I've still yet to play it on either platform. I've got it on PC and my Switch. But I will.
How?
I don't know. I'm just busy and lazy. Equal parts.
I'll make
so the next one.
I was just going to say, I'll make sure that I check with you and NATO, Brendan, or whoever it was that was so offended by Ali's romantic choice in the game.
Oh, NATO didn't approve.
I'll get
of my
NATO
hand,
approval.
but- Yeah.
Yeah,
Good luck.
just run all those romance decisions by the stripper first, and you'll live a happy farm life.
What could go wrong?
A life that isn't too happy is probably for the staff at Deep Silver copping all kinds of grief because, to no one's surprise in the entire goddamn universe, Thanos included, Shenmue 3 has been delayed until sometime in 2019, until it's then delayed till probably 2020.
Look, is it Shenmue or Shenmue?
I've heard both from all kinds of different sources.
I've only heard
Me
Shenmue.
too.
I only hear Mui.
I've never heard Shenmue ever.
It's just how we say it when we're from the country, all right? Us wholesome folk, we say mooey.
Mate, Shenmue.
Oh man.
That was like last week.
Take him
What
down
were
to
you?
Campo Santo.
Yes, that's the one.
Oh, I love that.
Yes, so it's just that's what this franchise
Did they
is. Delays.
Do they get too much money? Is that the problem with these Kickstarters? I think when you have to be more ambitious than you set out to do.
But that's like it would not surprise me if they came out in a few more months and said, "Hey, we're gonna start a fresh Kickstarter now because we want to add more to the game or flesh out the world more or some nonsense like."
Yeah.
Because I remember it got funded within 24 or 48 hours, but then afterwards they came out and got Sony to give them more money on top of the crowdfunding to get this game going.
Yeah, the guy
Kicking
Suzuki, if that's his name, I remember reading that he said that to make it a true like open world game, they need $10 million, and they're at 6 point something or other. So that was in like a Reddit AMA or something. So he's already like laid the groundwork to ask for more money or to say that they need more. But that was like a couple of years ago now. So maybe that's not the direction the game's headed.
Didn't know you've.
But we know what direction id Software and Avalanche Studios are headed. And that is via way of a sequel to Rage, which has been leaked, rumoured this week, subsequently announced. And they had not only a reveal trailer, but then a gameplay trailer dropped this week. And the game's coming out in 2019. Do you guys have much skin in the Rage game? Have you played the first one at all? What did you think of it?
I've never played a Rage game, and then seeing the trailer for Rage 2, I'm like, Mad Max?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's pretty much exactly what this is. Like, the first one, it was pretty good. Like, it looked great. It was very visceral. The combat was pretty tight. There was, a loose storyline in there about warring tribes and, the post-apocalyptica that you see in a whole host of other games and media. But it was good. It was good fun. It just never got an audience. It just died really quick. So it's surprising to see a sequel. But it looks like they're investing pretty heavily in. And obviously, id are no stranger to first-person shooters, and Avalanche is an interesting sort of combination because they do the Just Cause games. So there is going to be destructible environments out the wazoo, which could be really fun.
Yeah,
I like the design.
Yeah, like Ali, I had it wasn't on my radar. All I knew about the game was that it was on Breaking Bad. Like Jesse Pinkman was playing it with a light gun in one episode. And I remember thinking, okay, that's a game. But it was received pretty well from what I remember, but it just didn't, like you said, Brendan, didn't pick up an audience. So when they announced that there was a second one, I wasn't interested until that talk about Avalanche and Mad Max vibes and the trailer hit. I do like the idea of adding some car combat. That makes it stand out a bit more than the generic, kind of zombie shooter or whatever the first one was. So yeah, I'm up for it. It reminds me a little bit of like the original Far Cry came out. It was somewhat linear game. There was an open-ish world, but it wasn't completely open. And then they went in a completely new direction with Far Cry 2, and hopefully this is what they're doing with Rage, like by bringing in Avalanche, adding some mechanics that are pretty unique for those kinds of game. I think it looks a lot more interesting.
And on the topic of that vehicle combat, if they could sort of steal from the well of Twisted Metal and sort of somehow plug that into this game, man, I will be buying a copy on day one if that's the case, because Twisted Metal is so good.
Did you play Mad Max?
I think when everyone else...
I did. It's actually underrated.
Yeah,
I liked it.
A lot of people say it's good.
It has the car combat, and that's the thing that, like I keep saying, it's a unique element that's not really... Like, there's not many I feel like there's not many games that do it well. Like a mix. There's often games like Twisted Metal where it's just car combat, but getting into your car and then, you know, being able to like harpoon and pull things off and set them on fire, like it just keeps things interesting, I reckon.
100%. Speaking of keeping things interesting, Metro Exodus, the game that was unveiled at last year's E3, has been delayed until Q1 of 2019, which is a shame because that trailer excuse me, pardon, I'm burping up some Dominoes right now. That trailer that they sort of showed at E3 last year, and then the gameplay that accompanied that was so gorgeous, and the big beast. Like obviously, you could see the AI was really scaled down on that thing, and there was a few sort of pre-designed set pieces in there that occurred, but it looks so good. And the first two Metro games are another couple of underrated gems, I think, that more people need to play.
Yeah, that's a bit like Rage to me again, where it wasn't on my radar, probably because I think it was an Xbox exclusive on PC, and I don't have an Xbox, so I never played them. But that trailer and knowing that it was coming to PS4 definitely caught my eye, and I think that you're right. It looks like and unless it was one of those pre-rendered CG trailers completely, probably was, I guess, but it looks like they've got a level of detail and nuance there that makes it look really immersive, which could be cool for that kind of game.
Yeah, so another surprise that sort of just trickled out into the internets today was Stalker 2 has been revealed and confirmed to be coming in 2021. I don't know if you two had any experience with Stalker. It's a sort of a survival horror game, first-person shooter aspects combined in there too, that came out, I think it was 2007, 2008, I think. And it was sort of based around, the Chernobyl accident site. Very scary, very dark, very, very, very fear-inducing and like very uncomfortable and unsettling from I remember playing on the first one. But it's crazy, like 15 years later now they've got this other one coming out. Have you guys played any of the Stalker
I have not
titles
no.
before?
No. I had to Google this.
What did Google tell
it's a bit
you,
of
Ali?
sort of a...
I mean, it looks cool, post-apocalyptic, characters in like gas masks and like, deteriorated lands and everything. It looks awesome. Like
Sounds like Borderlands, yeah.
The artwork that came from it. Borderlands, but less cartoony.
Less cell shading.
But yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see why it probably was a popular game. Much like Metro, by the way. Like, that was one that everyone kind of has told me that I should have already played by now.
Definitely.
Too busy chatting chicks up.
Oh, yeah. Emily. Anyway, so we've got two more little news bites here. The last, or second last one, Twitch is now letting you filter PUBG streams by players left alive in current game. So if you want to sort of just see where the hotness is, where that final zone and all that, tense tree peak encounter is going on, you can do that now. I hope they do this with sort of more games. I think that's a really cool way to potentially get viewers into streams, even if you are maybe a smaller streamer, where if you are maybe down to that final zone, I think it could get you a few more eyes on the prize.
Why though? I don't understand this, to be honest with you. Like why would you ever just want to watch the final bit when, like, I enjoy watching something from start to finish, and I don't mind watching streamers when they start at, like, they die earlier on. It's about the adventure, it's about the build-up, it's about the work put into it, or put in work, if you would say. But yeah, I don't understand why you would just keep on jumping to streams on the last yard.
I think... it's maybe just a reflection of society.
Yeah.
Obviously, to probably broad stroke this, it's like it's this Tinder culture where you've got 1-2 seconds to make an impression, then you're getting swiped. Yes, I would like to know more, or no, I wouldn't. It's like that. I think it's what they just want, this instant gratification. They want this instant. Give me all the hotness. Give me the explosions, the tense moments. And yes, Ali, I do agree. when you do land in, it is pretty hairy. Being the first one to try and grab that gun or the other person shooting at you with said gun, it's intense. But I think people just want those highlight reel finishes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. What do you think,
I
John?
understand that because, I don't watch a lot of PUBG, but I can talk about basketball because, that's who I am. I love watching fourth quarters, and when there's like 5 games on like a Saturday, I love just flicking between fourth quarter finishes and just watching those like tense final moments of the close games. So I can, from that perspective, if I can use that analogy, I think that there would be people watching Twitch who just want to see those finishes and who gets the chicken dinner. Are we talking about PUBG?
I think that's actually a perfect way to... Yeah.
I was like, wait, are we talking about Fortnite? I just said chicken dinner. Whoops.
No, it was on point. You were,
You're
perfect.
right.
Nailed it. PC gamer.
Some might say that was a slam dunk.
Grand slam.
Are Charlotte Hornets
Yes.
still a team?
They're actually,
They came
it's
back.
good to see they're actually Charlotte Hornets again. They were the New Orleans Hornets and the Charlotte Bobcats. Then they went, you know what, let's make what is old new again, and came back. Sadly, not with the old logo though. I love the old school
Aw.
logo.
It was awesome.
Back in the 90s, when everyone was into like basketball and I didn't know anything about basketball, but you had to have a team, I was about the Charlotte Hornets. That aqua and purple.
Larry Johnson, Muggsy Bogues, Alonzo Mourning. That was the Charlotte Hornets glory days right there.
Yeah, Space Jam.
Muggsy Bogues was actually in Space Jam, so there you go.
So was Larry Johnson,
Hey.
but I think it was.
Oh, he was too.
He might have been on the Knicks. No, he was. Yeah, he was still on the Hornets actually. Yeah, there you go.
I'm gonna go watch
Space
Space Jam now.
Yeah. Speaking of films and bizarre threads that I don't even know how I'm going to connect this. I had a tangent before, but it's gone now. Paul W.S. Anderson, the man behind the Resident Evil films, which were absolutely atrocious, but that's probably a rant for another day, is making yet another video game adaptation, a game that was also done by Capcom. He is making a Monster Hunter movie, and it is also going to be starring his wife again, Mila Jovovich, who obviously the best role she ever had was Lilu. Outside of that,
Yeah.
I don't want to know her. But
Corbin
what
Dallas
in the
might be
hell?
Oh man, this is such a weird choice for a video game adaptation. It can't end well, surely.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, and the rough story is, from what I've heard, and Andrew Natoli from The Inconsolables was telling me about the other day, is apparently Mila Jovovich is from the Monster Hunter world, and she sort of gets pulled through into our world here because the monsters from said Monster Hunter world are starting to sort of, I don't know, breach some time void, and they're starting to destroy the Earth. So she's coming over to obviously hunt the monsters and save Earth.
That sounds kind of like the Fifth Element.
Or like
This
Pacific Rim and stuff like that. Just put her in a big mech.
this director is my favorite director of all time, I've just found.
Why?
Mortal Kombat, Event Horizon, Alien vs Predator.
He did 6 Resident Evil movies. Mm-hmm. They must have made...
That's
I repeat, Mortal Kombat, Event Horizon. That's got Space Orgy in it.
those,
And then Alien vs Predator, which is like one of my favorite movies of all time.
which still makes no sense to me. Alien vs Predator Requiem is so much better than the first Alien vs Predator, but you're on the other side of the fence, and I don't understand why.
You stay on that side of the fence. I'll sit in my ice cavern temple thing.
Yeah, you sit over
In that
there
movie.
and get given alien corpse armor by a predator that usually just kills every human anyway, but like, you know what, we're going to team up with this untrained African-American scientist woman and give her armor from an alien
Predators
corpse.
are hunters.
They're there,
What's
guys.
she gonna hunt?
Come on, guys.
He understands survival. It's coming of age.
We're all on the same team here.
Where do you stand on the Alien vs Predator film debate?
I don't stand anywhere. I have no horse in this race. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I can't settle the argument.
That's
I
fair.
stand on the side of
That's fair.
Space Jam.
I stand there
That's
too,
fair.
actually.
I accept
We all
that.
stand
I think
there
we can be
together, so
united
that's
and
okay.
say that
Yeah.
Space Jam's where it's at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best alien movie of all.
I didn't even say that without laughing.
No, it is a fantastic film, though, and I'm still kind of terrified about the sequel they're still trying to get off the ground.
No, leave it.
Space Jam
leave
on
it alone.
PS1. I played that game a lot. It was great.
Yeah. On a
I
random
remember collecting Tarzos.
one last question I want to throw to you both before we move into the main course of the gaming news discussion today is, who is your favorite Warner Brothers character?
Marvin the Martian? Like Looney Tunes? Are we talking cartoons?
Yeah.
Yeah, Marvin the Martian. Oh, Marvin the Martian, Wile E. Coyote.
I'm thinking hard about this because it's a tough one. Foghorn Leghorn is really great, but
I say now, boy.
He's the original Kratos.
I say, boy.
But yeah, I don't know. There's so many good ones. Taz is always good. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't make me pick, man. It's too hard.
Taz, and then a very close second by Marvin the Martian and Wile E. Coyote were my three always. So,
Copycat.
Yeah, I know. I was worried you were going to get in first and take them too.
I might say Daffy, actually. I'm changing my vote to Daffy. It's a classic.
Okay. That's fair.
Hey, have you noticed that, like, they've really started getting rid of certain characters, like your, whatever happened to Yosemite Sam?
Racist.
I have no idea. I haven't watched, like...
He voted
he
for
had
Trump.
guns?
Nah, if anything, he was probably promoted to feature act. He probably bumped Bugs Bunny off with the gun rights and stuff these days. You know, he's pro. I don't know, though.
We figured out Pepe Le Pew was a rapist?
Yeah, he was just a sex offender.
More you know, kids, the more you know.
Mm-hmm. I love that there's so many undertones to cartoons that obviously children have no idea of, yet the parents and even, you know, us now, or, you know, when we were teenagers and young adults, you start to pick up, hang on, that's kind of creepy, or that's wrong, or that's not right.
Yeah.
Intelligent writing. Or creepy, I don't know. Okay, so let's move on to the main course for today's episode. And tonight we are going to be talking about Cliff Bleszinski and his sort of journey through gaming, which obviously has sadly ended this year, at least for the time being, with the announced closure of Boss Key Productions. So I guess I'll give you a quick bit of a rundown on who CliffyB was, what he's done, and then I guess we can maybe unpack some of this in a little bit more detail, get your thoughts on the recent events that have unfolded and led to this sort of very sad news, I think, that's come about. So obviously started in gaming at age 15, making a game called Palace of Deceit. Started working at Epic Games in 1992, and his first exposure to games at Epic was on Jazz Jackrabbit.
Yes.
Sneaky underrated game right there.
1994,
he began... Oh, no, you got it.
I was just going to say, I think of all the games that he's worked on, which you'll get through, Jazz Jackrabbit's probably the one that I played the most, because I never had an Xbox. Really? So, shout out to Jazz Jackrabbit.
Mm-hmm. So after his work on Jazz Jackrabbit, and it's actually pretty good commercial success, it was Epic's most popular game in their stable for quite some time, funnily enough. He began working on Unreal in 1994. That obviously spawned a couple of sequels. Unreal Tournament was another one, which is worth mentioning.
Yes.
Moved into a creative consultant role on Rune, and then started as lead developer for Gears of War. But it was actually originally going to be titled Unreal Warfare and start out set in that Unreal the Unreal universe as well. So it's interesting that they were trying to just tack on to that existing success that they had with the Unreal franchise. Obviously, the first Gears of War game was released in 2006 on the Xbox 360. It's actually the highest rated game on Metacritic for the franchise with a 94. And it is also one of the highest selling franchises in Microsoft's history. I think they've generated over $1 billion for this franchise collectively from now, and the most recent figures were from 2016 or something like that. So, yeah, he certainly left a good mark there. Left Epic after 20 years in 2002 and quote-unquote retired from the industry for around 12 years. Came back in 2014 with Boss Key Productions, which he actually co-founded with Arjan Broussais from Epic as well. They had a staff of 65 at the studio, Their first release under Boss Key was Lawbreakers, which was obviously the arena hero shooter, which failed pretty badly. Tailing off the back of Lawbreakers, they pivoted to try and grab onto the Battle Royale hotness with Radical Heights. It did not manage to capture an audience, even though it was only out for probably the last 6 to 8 weeks. And on the back of that, Arjun Broussais left Boss Key and returned to Epic again. And on May 14th, so a couple of days ago, they announced the studio has officially closed its doors for good. So, yeah, it's a roller coaster. He's one of the most identifiable guys in the industry, in my opinion.
Yeah. Like, I gotta be honest, like, I didn't really follow his background too deeply. When I saw that he did Jazz Jackrabbit, I was like, no freaking way. And then seeing that here, he's responsible for Gears of War, really. And Gears of War, fuck, I remember playing that on the Xbox and just how, like, the graphics, the gameplay, and then obviously having what was the chainsaw gun called? Was it
the Lancer?
No.
Yeah, the Lancer.
Yeah, okay. And then just, like, having... Like, I remember there was a lot of talk about it as well. Like, oh, you can shoot someone, but then you can, like, rip into a chainsaw and then just slice them in half. And just doing that, like, in-game and how intense it was. And, like, Gears of War was definitely just groundbreaking, I think, especially for the time. And knowing that he was a part of that.
Yeah.
And Unreal Tournament.
Yeah, Gears of War is just pure video game machismo. Like, it is like playing... as all the male protagonists from the Predator film in that game. Like, they're all just muscles on muscles on muscles, big guns, crack shot and one-liners left, right, and center. It's such a good game, and obviously the franchise has maintained relevancy through the generations of the Xbox and things like that. The Coalition obviously owns the franchise now, and that's also subsequently owned by Microsoft as a whole. But yeah, he's had his DNA in some pretty impressive franchises, especially in that shooting genre.
Some important ones.
Yeah.
Some really, really important ones.
Yeah. I actually met him last year at E3. I was sitting watching the Kind of Funny guys do this sort of cross event with, I don't think it was IGN, I think it was actually GameSpot. Yeah, they're on the GameSpot stage. And I was sitting there on these sort of, just little futon-y lounge things, and they had USB charge ports sort of stacked between them everywhere. And I'm sitting down. He came and sat next to me, plugged his phone in, and was just getting a charge. And it was just like a 20-second, 30-second sort of small talk thing. But I was just like, yeah, you are just a bro, like just a dude. I went and played Lawbreakers sort of as part of the press on that E3 junket as well. And even there, you could see the passion he had for that game, and he stands by his work. I think he pivoted a little bit due to, I guess, the lack of hype and sales and just general hit rate with Lawbreakers, and it was sort of a shame. Like, there was a lot of panic, I think, in those last few months. But yeah, I don't know. What about you, John? Have you had much to do with those outside of obviously Jazz Jackrabbit? What's your sort of touch with sort of Cliff Bleszinski and his sort of I guess gaming chops?
Yeah. Aside from Jazz Jackrabbit, shout out to Jazz Jackrabbit. Not much. like Ali said, I remember playing Gears of War at a friend's place. Like, when that was it on 360, the first one? Yeah, I remember seeing that, and it was like, this is what the 360 can do. That was, I remember, the most impressive thing I'd seen up to that point, as far as that console goes. And I also remember, like, just the perspective of that game, like being a third-person game, but a closer, like, more tight shot. It kind of set a style and an aesthetic for a gritty kind of third-person shooter to go ahead, and having that melee combat that you mentioned too. I remember just being finding that striking at the time, but as I said before, not having an Xbox, most of his games have lived on that platform, and I haven't played a lot of that stuff, or PC. But yeah, just going through and seeing some of the response to this news is interesting, because there's a mix between kind of people mourning the loss of I guess not that he's dead or completely retired or anything, but the loss of a great mind and a great creator in this space. But there's also a lot of haters out there that are kind of saying, he's arrogant and he's kind of, this is what he gets for thinking that he, knows better than others or whatever it might be. And to that, I don't know, maybe there might be some stuff in there. I don't know him that well to know whether it's true or not, but I think I want to ask you guys, I want to flip this around as the interviewer that I am. Do you think that the closure of this studio is the result of his past games not doing as well as they could have, or the games that he's tried to pitch to studios not being taken up on their merits? Or do you think that the reluctance of people to give him funding is because of those past games failures? Because you're probably going to get to this, Brendan, but he's just leaked a whole lot of these concepts and stuff, and some really interesting artwork and ideas for games, and he's been very open with all this stuff, which is great to see from a dev. You don't get to look behind the curtain that often, but yeah, what do you think is the reason that it's come to this?
I'll lead over to you first, Ali, and see what you think, and then I'll jump in as well.
I don't understand where this stemmed from, but it seemed like there was a real grouped bully mentality against Cliffy in regards to, I'm assuming it must be an attachment from Lawbreakers or something along those lines, where people just felt like he maybe was aiming a bit too high, and that I definitely saw Lawbreakers going out to more streamers than anything. Like, it was the streamer game and streamers were just trying to sell this game, so maybe that left a bad taste on people's mouths. And then when it became kind of like a joke about how bad Lawbreakers went, and the fact that he decided that his next follow-up was going to be a battle royale, and I don't know much about when it comes into video game development and all the inner workings of that, especially when it comes to timing. But dropping that battle royale, especially when Fortnite was at its prime, Fortnite was all the hype, and throwing your hat in the ring, people maybe did interpret it as being a bit too cocky, and then it was just this, it's just like there's this bully mentality that kind of grew, in the sense that just picking on CliffyB is the thing to do. It's like, that's what you do.
Yeah, I think to a degree he sort of incited or indirectly probably generated a bit of that animosity towards him. Prior to Lawbreakers coming out, he was pretty open about talking down or expressing his thoughts, especially negative thoughts towards Overwatch and even PUBG and stuff like that, where he sort of said they didn't have much substance and they were going to die, or I don't think it was die was the exact word, but he obviously sort of
flavor of the month
threw as much shade towards so he was panning these other big IPs that were out there just dominating sort of mind share and market share. And he, I'll say one thing, he's a hell of a salesman. You believed him on stage when he was talking about Lawbreakers, and it's the future of the shooter and all this, and some of the concepts he had in there, like that zero gravity stuff he had in it, was very fast and frantic combat. It was insane, jetting around that map and getting blown up out of the air, or having sort of air hand-to-hand combat modes with certain character types and things. It was very ambitious, but yeah, I don't know. It's just, yeah, it was. I think it was maybe too ambitious. Maybe if you led off with Radical Heights, funnily enough, I think maybe if that was the first flagship title that they brought out under Boss Key as opposed to Lawbreakers, it probably would have given them a bit more of a steadier foundation. But Radical Heights, you could see it was a last ditch roll of the dice. The studio, I guess, as a whole, sat down and thought, what can we do to try and keep this studio afloat here? And they tacked on the back of the Battle Royale hype, and the game was very, very, very undercooked. It was a glorified tech demo. The lack of textures that were loading into that game from the outset of a match all the way through to the end, it was pretty jokeable, or laughable. Jokeable, I don't even think it's a word, but it is now. It was very underdone, and obviously they were probably just trying to do that to get some funding to keep everybody employed and maybe find that next step or pivot to that next title. But yeah, I don't know, maybe it is that brashness that sort of stopped him from getting to where he needed to be. Like Jono, as you mentioned, all this art and some of the rough synopsis he was talking about, some of these games and concepts he was working on. Like there was that one Dragonflies where it was sort of ninja-based characters riding airships that were dragons, fighting against the undead. Like that just sounds insane. There was another one that was like a mech tank warfare sort of thing, where you're riding on dog walkers, which was a destructive ordinance on the ground. Like it was terrible verbiage. But yeah, like you look at the art and some of the pictures he was working on, like he was trying to get into VR, as well as a whole host of other titles that probably are going to get trickled out over the coming weeks. Donuts was another one he was talking on, which was a game where you're riding in a tube. So it's sort of like a Mario Kart-esque type of game where you're racing on tubes across a track, and you can... was it ginger ale, I think, was the pickup weird, item, yeah. And you can shake it up to create it a weapon, but you can also drink it to give you like a speed boost as well. Like it
sounds like a Steam game.
These crazy, yeah. But
yeah,
he had him and his team had their fingers in, many pies and many potential avenues. But he also said that, like, on average, some of these games he was pitching for like $40 million to try and get some of these games off the ground, which is, tying back to Shenmue or Shenmue as the cool kids call it. They mentioned that they needed $10 million, and that sounds like a lot more of an ambitious game than some of these he was trying to develop. Yeah. So maybe his accounting was just not in check as well. Like his expectations were just so far out of the ordinary that a lot of the backers just said, "No, you're insane, mate."
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I think it shows how hard it is to get games made and funded, because this is just one person telling us, he's on his way out. Before he shuts the door, he's like, here's all the ideas I had. Here's how creative genius I am, But, yeah, I wonder how many stories there are like this that we just haven't heard, or like how many games Kojima pitched and they said, no, you can't do that, or people like that. And it just, shows you how quickly things can change from having all these ideas to keep things going to suddenly... we just have to close up shop now. And I did see something that was really interesting on Twitter, and it was an exchange between one of their devs and a fan. What was the last game that they were working on that released?
Radical Heights.
Radical Heights. So the person tweeted him to one of the lead developers. They said, "Can you please add a girl character so I can look pretty? I hate looking like a middle-aged man with awful hair. Haha." And this dev wrote, "She's in progress, no ETA quite yet." And then, this is 2 days ago, mind you. And then the next tweet was, "Well, scratch that. No female ever." So this is like one of the lead creative devs on this studio. He didn't even know this was coming. And all of a sudden the studio's just closed. Like, it makes you like realize how chaotic this industry can be sometimes.
That's terrifying. I feel bad for all, like, developers, creators and everyone that works in the gaming industry in that aspect.
I wonder how much of that is due to sort of the management style that they may have had. Like, obviously I'm just spitballing, but maybe because those two titles were taking such a hit, obviously they sort of announced that Lawbreakers was getting support ended, imminently, and then they just did the announcement with Radical Heights in the studio. I wonder if that was just because he was taking such a beating emotionally that he just went, what, fuck it, I'm not going to sort of liaise with anyone else, I'm done, and then just sent those tweets out and turned the servers off or whatever he did, and just sort of went threw his toys out of the cot,
pulled out the plug,
took his ball and went home. Yeah. It is, it's interesting because like Lawbreakers was received really well. Like the critics seemed to enjoy that, even though it didn't pick up an audience. So it just kind of makes you go, Like, again, it's hard to make it. I don't know how big that studio was, but maybe it's when you're between an indie and a AAA, in that you have to like ask people for money. It's a hard space to be in.
They were pretty sizable. Like, they had 65 people working there. So it's not a small studio by any means. So yeah, that's a lot of talented people now out on the street. No doubt a lot of them will get picked up, but we wish them all the best. But yeah, it's just it's just so hard, I think, for these ambitious like upstarts that are trying to slightly reimagine a tried and tested genre to find their footing. Like Evolve's another one that comes to mind. I think that game was fantastic, but it just couldn't find the player base either. And then it went to free to play. I don't know if the servers are still active or supported now. If so, power to Turtle Rock, I think, was the studio behind that. But it was a great title as well. But it just died very, very quickly as well.
Yeah. I don't know, like how, like kind of like what Jono said in regards to being in between AAA and indie. I guess when you have such a great resume of games, like maybe people are just expecting way too much.
Yeah, it reminds me of the musicians and that kind of thing where they put out hit albums for a really long time, and then they get a record deal where they're expected to put another one out, and they ask for heaps of money, and they just start spending all this money, and suddenly it's like a complete mess, and they don't know what to do with it, so it just gets scrapped and never released. Like it kind of reeks of that for me.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see if CliffyB stays retired this time. There was 12 years between drinks, between Epic and then Boss Key. So who knows? Maybe we'll see him when he's 59 years old. I think if we beat another 12 years time, maybe he comes out with a new studio doing some crazy things and
Jazz Jackrabbit.
Yeah, but either way, Jazz Jackrabbit VR or something like that. But he'll be missed. Like, he was quite a personality. Was working on some pretty revolutionary titles for their day. So Boss Key, CliffyB, we wish you all the best in whatever endeavours you may be up to when onwards and upwards, hopefully.
Yeah, leave the poor guy alone, everyone.
Yeah. Pour 2 out because I'm thirsty.
Don't pour it out.
But that too. Pour it out into a glass. So that just about wraps up episode 105 of the Hungry Gamers podcast. We are doing a little bit of a change for future episodes as far as how we're handling the final segment. Obviously, we used to do the iTunes review each and every week, but we want to try and mix it up and maybe shuffle the deck week on week, where we'll do iTunes review coupled with question of the week, coupled with Clan or Sham, and whoever and whatever else we can think of, just to sort of keep a little bit fresh, keep a little bit exciting. We've been doing this for quite some time, so maybe a little bit of variety will help liven up the mood in here. Miss Hart's looking a little bit tired. It is after 9 o'clock, so she probably should have been in bed a little while ago. Poor old thing. So
I always look tired.
No. But is there anything you guys wanted to say or bring up or highlight in this upcoming calendar week in the gaming or geek space that you wanted to shed a little light on before we say goodbye for another week?
No, I think other than the amazing content on the 8-Bit Collective, I think it's all good.
I guess expanding on that, we have now increased the stable to 9 podcasts, and it is ever growing. We've got a couple more planned for release within the coming weeks as well, which we're pretty excited about. But check out 8bit.net or search the hashtag 8bit collective on the socials to connect with 9 very diverse, very talented podcasting crews. Be sure to also check out the video content on youtube.com/weare8bit, or find us as a collective on the social medias at weare8bit, or on email at hello@8bit.net. But you can find me as always everywhere at Brendan8bit. Miss Ali Hart, where can we find you, and anything else you want to say g'day to before we bounce on out of here?
Well, you can find me everywhere, sassing and about at Miss Ali Hart. I just also want to give us credit. It's been a few episodes now, and none of us have talked about Destiny. I'm going to probably warn you now that I finally found out that I did actually pay for that second DLC, so I will be participating. So get ready for Destiny talk.
Strap in. I'm actually might join you for a couple of hours between next episode.
Yeah.
Jono, my man, thank you for filling in here and doing a better job than the other two of us here combined. Screw you and your professionalism, but thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us here at the Remote Hungry HQ. Keep putting in that work, as some might say.
Thank you.
We're loving what you're doing. Anything you want to say or plug again before we move on out of here? Where can our listeners find you?
You can
and
find
all
me
your
on
great
Twitter
content?
at Jono himself and anywhere else on the socials as well. Putting in Work comes out every Thursday, so check that out. Hit me with an iTunes review once you've given one to the Hungry Gamers, because they always go a really long way to helping the show. And just be kind, I guess. And thanks to you guys for being kind and for rescheduling this so you could fit me in. I really appreciate it.
Mate, it's the least we can do.
Ain't no thing.
When we can get such high caliber of person on the show, we will do it any time or
kind.
day.
Mm-hmm.
I said be kind, but you're getting ridiculous now.
Okay, all right. On that note, 8-Bit Nation, much love.
You've been listening to The Hungry Gamers, one of many gaming and geek culture related podcasts from the 8-Bit Collective over on 8bit.net. Check out more episodes on your podcast service of choice. And while you're there, please be sure to rate and subscribe. Until next time, boys and girls, stay hungry.